Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get Go Cafe and Market, where they have fresh stuff, Dale Lawley, don't they?
For lunch every day, you can go get dinner. It doesn't matter. They make it right there for you.
Yeah, or you can go in the middle of the night like some of us. Let's talk about the one thing that you and I, and pretty much every sports writer, hates writing about. It's officiating. And yet, at the same time, it's such low-hanging fruit. Like, you could do it every game.
You could do it every game.
In any sport.
In any sport. There's always a call here or there. What there typically aren't are several calls here or there. And that was really I thought, the situation in yesterday's Steelers-Chargers games, that there were a number of calls that, well, quite frankly, either didn't get called, got called incorrectly, or just were blown.
And the worst part about it is that they all went against one team, which flies in the face of something that I write constantly, and that is when officiating is bad, it's bad both ways.
Yeah, it's typically bad both ways.
And that's typically because bad is just bad. They just don't know what they're doing, and they're not good at it. In this case, almost all of those calls went against the Steelers, which just looks so much worse, even though I'm certain it's not, it's not favoritism or anything crooked. It's crazy.
It was just a
bad
rough game. And really, if you look at the first three touchdowns that were allowed by the Steelers in this game, I mean, the first one, the right tackle moves. Everybody in America saw the right tackle.
He went dancing. He was going out for America's Got Talent.
Yeah, he's either moved early or he's got really quick feet. One of the two. The second one you look at, and that was the fluky touchdown that they gave up in the end zone, where Joe Hayden and Sean Davis collide. The ball pops up in the air.
Yeah, that wasn't on the officials.
No,
but
that's not on the official.
But then the punt return
The punt return, there were two obvious blocks in the back right at the start of the return.
In front of everybody, where the ball is.
A crew
it's crazy.
that had thrown a penalty. I'm going to go back and look, but I think they had thrown a penalty on every return in this game except that one.
Yeah, the one that got a touchdown.
They caught a holding penalty on the Steelers on a fair catch.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We will write about it. A couple weeks ago, the Hockey News asked me to put together an article in which it was part of a project that they were doing where they were picking a hockey Mount Rushmore, and they had 3 automatics, and they wanted different writers from around the continent to represent a certain fourth candidate who should possibly make an argument for him, in other words. So the automatics were Gretzky, Howe, and Bobby Orr. Okay, not too many people would argue that, although you could make he hung around for a long time.
Certainly, and he's from a golden era in hockey back in the original 6, and for people of a certain age, he sort of represents sort of
Mr.
that era.
Hockey.
Yeah, he's Mr. Hockey.
Sure. However, what I wrote for these guys, I still can't believe that they ran because it basically assaulted their project.
The Bible of hockey.
They did publish the thing anyway, in which I basically said, it's fine, Mario Lemieux doesn't belong on your Mount Rushmore. He belongs on a separate peak of his own, overlooking the Mount Rushmore because he's the greatest player, the most talented player who ever lived. Honest to God, Bradford, they ran this thing. Who would be your hockey Mount Rushmore?
I would agree with the 4 that you just said. I mean, I hate to be, kind of blah, but I would put Gordie Howe in there because he does represent something. He is Mr. Hockey. I think Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, and Mario Lemieux. But of course, I'm from a certain age, so those are the 4. Maybe if I was a little bit older, maybe you could make a case for Rocket Richard. I know French Canadians.
Rocket's mine. I see Rocket in there over Gordie.
Well, there's probably that Anglo or Franco-Anglo debate.
Really? And why do you think they leave Mario off?
I can't speak
for that.
That's why.
That's why it's always been, Chrissy. You know that. That's why the English-speaking part of Canada has that's why they protect Gretzky the way they do.
Well, I think Wayne Gretzky's on that Mount Rushmore, regardless if he was speaking.
Of course he is.
Whatever country he's from or whatever language.
But I mean that in general, they protect this idea that Gretzky's the greatest player who ever lived, even though their trained hockey eyes watched Mario and know for a fact who was the best player who ever lived. They know this.
I think if you asked the hockey gods to build the perfect hockey player, you would definitely come up with Mario Lemieux because he looks the part. He's 6'4", if not taller than that, and wingspan of a pterodactyl, and certainly the most dominant player when he was healthy on top of his game.
Rocket, to me, is probably a more interesting debate than
versus Gordie Howe
than Mario. Yeah, because Rocket was Babe Ruth. he was the first to score 50 goals. He was doing it at the time, like Babe Ruth was when he hit his home runs, when no one was even dreaming of doing such a thing. I mean, he was that much more prolific than his peers. And that's how I've always looked at era comparisons. Why was Hannes Wagner the greatest shortstop who ever lived? Because he was that much better than his peers.
Now, you're saying a statistical argument, but then Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, you'd have to... There's also a statistical argument to be made that Gretzky was the better player than Lemieux.
And there's different...
Yeah.
We can get into Mario versus Wayne from here until eternity here.
And there's probably no great winner in any of these debates because they're all great players in their own right. With Richard, I never saw him play. So Gordie Howe, there's enough folklore, I think, out there where most people kind of accept that he's in that top 4.
Yeah, because of the name and the nickname and everything else here. We should have come up with a better nickname for Mario at some point.
Better than Super Mario?
Super Mario, Le Magnifique. None of those really stuck. That was the problem. He needed a nickname.
The greatest one.
The greatest one would have been good.
All right, Dayon. I've had a gripe with you for quite some time. You have said it before on the internet, and I dispute it. You said that the Green Lantern animated series is the greatest animated series of all time. I take that down. You cannot disrespect Batman, the animated series from Fox Kids back in the 90s. It is the greatest cartoon. Forget superhero cartoons. That is the greatest cartoon ever made.
Yeah, you know what? You don't have to disrespect Batman TAS for what it was.
It was the best.
It was at the time, and the fact that it was allowed to get stretched over multiple seasons.
And then it developed into other
grew,
shows.
And the brilliance of Bruce Timm, that was where, a lot of people don't realize that's where Harley Quinn was introduced.
Yes, she was not a character.
She was not a comic book character.
And now she's one of the biggest things about DC.
She's one of the biggest things about all comics.
What did Green Lantern
now.
do? What did that show do?
The Green Lantern animated series didn't get a chance. But the one year that they did allow it, it was beautiful. It was brilliant. And you have to understand that when it comes to GL, I am really the hardest critic. I mean, the Ryan Reynolds movie, okay?
Look, if you saw the after credits of Deadpool 2, that's exactly, we
I'm
all
sure
agree.
that's how Ryan Reynolds feels about it. I'm really a tough critic. In the past week, DC put out a new GL1, and it's a beautiful thing. Grant Morris and Liam Sharp. But the cartoon, man,
I saw it.
It caught. I don't even want to get into a debate with you here because the Batman thing was really good. I don't want to do a comparison. The Green Lantern cartoon just needs to be respected for what it was.
Never this serious in Steelers segments.
No, man, because you're hitting me here, okay? One full year of 26 episodes of the most beautiful characterization you'll ever see in a superhero cartoon. They made the spaceship Aya came to life.
That's so cool.
It was fantastic.
That's so cool.
We have no quarrel here, Carter.
Mark Hamill was the best joke. That Joker voice
You want
is
to compare.
iconic.
I understand that.
Give me some iconic things from this
You
series.
want to compare? I don't. I have Mark Hamill penciled autograph on a Batman TAS lithograph as you walk into my bedroom.
Because it is the best show ever.
It was a tremendous cartoon.
Yeah,
I have a special spot for this Green Lantern animated series.
Guys.
It was a beautiful thing. If I told you how many times I have watched, when I am flying on these hockey trips across Western Canada.
No, forget that. I saw you on the plane to Chicago last year watching Green Lantern.
Watching the cartoon, because I can't get enough of it. The different moments that it had, the symbolism that it had, was just beautiful. It worked for both kids and adults.
Yes, that's
and
what Batman did.
We will not argue about this, Carter.
But we're arguing.
We will not fight over this. We are done with this one.